What is up? Thank you all for joining. We got some lot of new names. A lot of new names in chat. You want to give some shout outs real quick?
Yeah. Welcome, Laylin, that guy. Luke, nice to see you. Donna. Um, Horror Road Trip, who's that?
That was me.
Carrie C. Yes, Luke, we've been talking. It's nice to see you. I don't know who else I've missed because I was accidentally
We
not
got
looking at
and we
comments.
got an art. So yeah, thank you all for joining us, and we got a hell of a lineup for you tonight. If you joined us last week, we looked at the very beginning years of the manor, the home haunt. We're still in the home haunt era. However, tonight we have one of the former kid actors
Yes.
that worked in 2011. So we are going to only look at 2011 so that we stay with the time period and we can interview him and get some insight while we watch more videos about all this. And we also have Mr. Brandon Vance, who's going to be joining us on panel. But
Oh, yay. Did he figure it out?
yeah, he figured it out. So he's here with us in the background right now. So we'll be bringing him up on board here in a minute. But real quick, Boston, let's go and look back at a clip that we showed last week because this was one of the parts where we were like, whoa.
Well, before we do that, I want to thank Taco, our viewer Taco,
Mm.
for suggesting and reminding Kris that you've had conversations with this old actor from back in the day, and to reach out and see if they were willing to come on. So thank you.
So I'm going to play this clip. Boston, I want no spoilers on it. So I'm
Okay.
just going to kind of talk about the clip, what we're seeing and what we're hearing. Now, this is the home haunt back in 2010. And what has happened was there's a woman and some kids going through the haunt, and they got to a scene where the actors actually put bags over the kids' faces. And we
Hoods.
questioned, was that too far? So let's just watch that clip real quick so the people viewing can see.
Did you look her in the eye? No! Louder! Do you want to hear a story? Louder! No! Have you heard of the runaway train? Yes. Louder! Louder!
So we got the gist of it, right? They're about to experience something, and I want to highlight. You can see the mouse. I'm mousing over this specific individual here because that is actually one of our guests. Let me bring him up on panel with us, and then I'll also bring this guy back here on panel with us
Hello.
too. But
Hi.
Brendan, I didn't know this. This is you in the video right there.
Yes, it is.
So tell me about that. Like, was this your first time going through the manor?
Yeah, this was actually the only time I've gone through the manor. It was the year before I was actually acting here. And pretty much I remember in class at the elementary school down the street, like the manor was kind of popular in the neighborhood and some kids were talking about going. And I was like kind of debating on it in my head of going or not, which I obviously ended up going.
Going, yeah.
Yeah,
But
and
so elementary school, holy cow.
yeah,
Yeah. So how old
there's
are you in
Yeah,
this?
that's what I want to know.
um, I think I was about to turn 10 in like 2 months.
9. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah,
So I'm assuming a scenario like this. This is the first time you're ever experiencing that in your life. Am I safe to assume that?
yeah, definitely.
And what was going through your little 10-year-old mind when they put these hoods over you?
It was kind of just like shocking and startling, and it was like I didn't really know where we're going, of course. And it seemed like they brought us through like a few rooms in the haunt and then like they kind of unmask us at the end, and this like train just starts coming at us in that room. And they were kind of just screaming, which was even like worse.
I was gonna say, and the actress here is
That's
yelling.
Lindsay.
I was gonna.
Isn't it? That's
I didn't
Russ's
know
daughter.
if I should say that or
Oh,
not.
I'm fine saying that.
Okay. But screaming in this clip, and look how close your ear is to her. So I was gonna say, the thing probably going through your mind was like, man, I wish I had earplugs. I am like, so had you grown up in the area up until this point?
Yeah.
So I'm sure you'd heard plenty of stories then.
Yeah, for the most part, like, I mean, I think like a lot of it was kept hush hush because Russ would tell the people that would go in to not say anything about like what actually goes on in the manor. We all we kind of knew was like every night on September and October weekends, we would hear like the chainsaw people chasing people out of the haunted house, and like it kind of intrigued the neighborhood kids to go through it at one point, and some of us even like decided to act there.
So, 10 years old, you're going into this. Was a waiver a part of the process at this point? Because being 10, technically, I don't believe you can even sign a waiver and it be legal.
Yeah, so there was a waiver at the time, and I'm pretty sure they did. From what I remember, they did have us sign the waiver, even the kids. So it probably wasn't legally binding anyway.
Mm-hmm. Now, do you remember any details from this waiver? It doesn't necessarily have to be the 2010 one, but when you were acting there, we now have a 40-page waiver. We know that it didn't start out like that. Like, how big was it? Was there some things that stuck out to you that you can remember?
I think there was a few pages, but from what I remember, the parts of the waiver where it says, "Oh, you'll get your teeth pulled, your hair will be shaved," like stuff like that. All that was in the waiver,
It
and
was back
yeah,
in 2010 we're looking at, right? This was our, yeah, because tonight we're covering 2011.
2011, yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
and I noticed like because I've been in like the Facebook group and stuff, and I've seen like people's questions. There's, I'd say there's like a big question mark around that, and I remember Russ actually talked about like why he put that stuff in the waiver, and it was mostly just like a mental manipulation game to like get people to be in like a specific like
Right.
mindset, more vulnerable mindset, so he can like
So back then it was definitely
It was a scare tactic.
just a scare tactic. And Vance,
yeah.
My man, you are free to unmute yourself and ask questions, by the way. I feel like Kris and I are just taking all the questions.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, buddy.
Well, no, yeah.
I'm sure you have some too. I'm just like blown away. I had no clue. And thank you so much for coming, Brenden, because I had no clue that I assumed there wasn't a waiver at this point. I assumed another thing is because you mentioned September and October weekends, and hashtag spoiler alert. Sorry, Kris. But going through my research in all of Russ's videos, like kind of going through the archives, I didn't say archive, it looked to me that he had added September and October, like now September as well, like 2 months this year didn't start until 2011 or 2012. Is that true? Or like, I know you were really young, but do you remember growing up if like it originally was just October and then at some point September got introduced as well?
Maybe it was like the year I went in when it was like September and October, but
Okay.
but yeah, I know for a fact like when I went in and when I was acting it was September and October.
Okay. Yeah, I think it was the year you were acting.
Lost everybody.
Potentially.
So we got Luke with some great comments in chat talking about how, yeah, even if it was used as a scare tactic, if anything happened and somebody tried to sue, it was not legally binding because these were minors signing this without their guardians. Now, I assume maybe some came with parents. It looked like somebody had their hands on your shoulder. I'm assuming that might have been someone with you, or is this just a random stranger?
Literally random stranger. That I remember the guy's name was Ron. I don't even know why I remember that.
So you
But
just had my man Ron, who you had no idea who it was, hanging onto your shoulders, just as
Yep.
scared as you. That itself in itself is an issue. Right?
Remember last week when we were saying for Bumblebee, we were like, and Bumblebee's kids here, and then we kind of called ourselves and we're like, well, actually, maybe those aren't our kids.
So were you
No,
in the
no.
group with the Bumblebee?
No, so
was
I
that editing?
actually know who the Bumblebee group was. It was actually
Okay.
two of my friends at school at that time that I was talking to. Um, it was Andrew and Brandon were their names, and that was, I think, Andrew's mom.
Oh, okay.
And then
Okay.
Brandon was like a best friends with Andrew in elementary school.
So let's dive in and watch some videos. And throughout, if Brandon or Brendan, either of you have anything you want to say, let us know. We will pause it.
Are we going to ask more questions? I mean, I still
Yeah.
have a bunch of questions.
Oh, we will have tons, but I want the audience at home to see at least one of these videos right now so that we're showing some footage.
Okay.
And then we can discuss what we saw and go more into depth with Brendan about working.
And this is 2011
Yep.
Yeah.
that we're going to watch. Okay.
So, Boston, which one did you want me to play? We have the 2011 sneak peek trailer,
Mm-hmm.
or we have the 8-minute video of the manor itself, the tour,
Mm-hmm.
and then we have the testimonials, which I figured testimonials
Those would be
we'll save
last.
later.
Yeah, let's save those later. I think this
Sneak
let's
peek?
watch the sneak peek. Yeah, I could be wrong, but the sneak peek may have some 2010 footage in it.
Okay.
But let's
So,
watch it anyways.
let's get that going.
Yeah, and if you see yourself or anyone you know, like, definitely feel free to point it out.
Okay.
That's a good question, that guy.
So that woman was Gracie.
What was her name?
Her name was Gracie. Russ loved like getting a reaction from her. She went through the haunt like 3 times.
Is that
She-
Russ's neighbor?
Yeah, she lived up like on a hill. Like she could see the haunt from up above, like in her backyard.
But she was in Haunter's Art of the Scare, right?
Yeah, I think they
Yeah.
in Haunters they referred to her as the neighbor, but they did stipulate that she could see their house from above. So it was like in the same neighborhood. It wasn't just next door neighbor.
Yeah.
So what I'm seeing so far for the sneak peek, and this could be footage from 2010, I don't know. But it seems like he's focusing a lot more on physical touch in this from what we saw before. It's a lot more hands-on, and we even have, what is this? Is this I know it's kind of hard to see right in the
The
shot.
chair.
Yeah, it's like is it a chair or is it like a dolly that people are in and being transported?
No, it's actually a chair that was set in front of this like big saw machine that
Yeah.
would spin and get in people's faces. And basically this specific room, the people would be like have those like hoods on their faces, brought through a few rooms to get to this room. And then Russ would usually pick like the most vulnerable or the most scared person in the group,
Mm-hmm.
strap them in the chair, and then take off their hood, and then have like a few of the actors ask questions like, oh, who was the president in 1984? Like some like random facts. And as soon as they fail the first one, the saw turns on and gets in their face and like scares them.
So let me ask you, because this is Kris. This is definitely 2011 because that's when we first saw that. So when you, and I know it just so happens that your very first time going through was in 2010. So maybe even, and you were hooded half the time, and you were 9.
Yeah.
So it's okay if you don't remember all of this, but as far as your knowledge goes from memory, when you went through up until when you started working there, do you remember if there was any sort of physical constraints on people where you were actually tied to something throughout the tour? Or was that new when you started working?
That was the first restraint ever.
Ever. Okay.
Yeah, ever.
Okay, so 2011 starts the restraining.
Very first restraining.
Yeah.
Got some things in chat. I'm going to try to hit questions as I see them, just because I don't want anything to get lost.
I'm writing them down too, by the way.
So I'm assuming you're a kid actor. You didn't get paid, correct?
Yeah, I did not get paid.
Did any of the adult actors get paid for working at that time when you were around, that maybe you know of or that you heard of?
No, it was all volunteer. They're just like some adults that I guess like knew Russ in some way. Maybe like their kids went in or something, or like maybe their kid was already acting there and they acted with them, stuff
Gotcha.
like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like friends, family, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And did you ever witness his actual next door neighbors? Did you ever see any reaction from them on how they handled it? Because it looked like it was pretty crazy outside between those houses.
Yeah, they definitely complained about the noise a lot. That I think they called the police a few times and complained about the noise. But I think there was a noise limit at 10 o'clock, so the police couldn't do anything if it was like before 10. And so Russ made sure that like the last group would go in around like 9:20, 9:30.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then one more before we go back to playing the videos. Can you confirm or remember any of the tours you went through? Were they selective, like focusing on one person?
I think there's a girl either at the front of the group or like the second to the front that they focused on. But usually what Russ would do is when we're out in front and like Carol is like kind of like giving the background story, Russ would select the like seemingly most scared or most vulnerable person at that point and have them go in the front right away.
Go in front.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw that with Sandy too.
So he was, he was baiting. He was already picking his victim, right? Out of a group, had a nice small little selection, and then would put them in there.
Well, how many people were in a group?
I'd say 4 to 6.
Why that size?
Well, the rooms are kind of small, and also like the gated area, when they would open up the gate, that area was kind of small too.
That was going to be my next. I mean, I want to know the whole layout of this backyard. Let's finish this short video.
Okay, and you save that next question.
And then I'm writing down, there's really good questions in the chat, so I'm writing those down too so we can come back to them.
Yeah,
so
I want to get to that one from Jedi, so we'll make sure we're going to play this clip and then we will come back to that. This poor lady. Is that staged?
No, it's real.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I find it interesting. Some people are smiling going through, while others just have an absolute terrified look on their face. So, did you see that? Was that person that was in the front of the line? I know we already said they were the most vulnerable one, but do you feel that they played it up to the camera sometime? Because was Russ ever coaching them to give any sort of reaction or anything?
No, Russ never coached them. He would just pick the most scared person or the second most scared person and have them like go up front. And then the people that are usually like smiling and laughing about it tend to be like in the middle or the back because they're like less scared, and Russ like can't get that camera reaction of them and can't really
Gotcha.
mess with them.
How
Guys,
long?
you broke. We're breaking our own rules, guys. The questions are not gonna stop. They really aren't.
I know.
So
Well-
because I can't stop. The chat has really good questions. This is what I think we should do. Seriously, I think we play this. We play the 8-minute video.
Okay.
We kindly ask the people that are watching live in chat. You can ask questions now. Just know, like, it would be better if you waited just a minute. Watch the 8-minute video, because I think it's really important that we as an audience can see everything that was going on the year that Brenden started working the haunt, and then we'll go back and we'll ask all the questions. Does that sound like a plan?
Sounds like a plan, boss.
Yeah. Okay,
All
sorry.
right.
I am being really bossy, but I think it's important we watch that. Well, this one's almost over. I don't think we even need to finish watching this if you just want to skip to the 8-minute.
No, we'll finish it. Because there is different footage. All right. And then they got... I don't get the movie credit thing.
Yeah, if you have a really good question, which a lot of you do, I can see.
Got
Thank you, Stacy.
Danny Burke trying to call me. And it's freezing up all of my stuff.
We're live, Danny Burke.
God, Dean.
Do you want me to tell him?
Yeah. So, all right. So we watched that. Now let me go back and find this next one. I just kind of wanted to paste some of the videos so that we didn't have just all talking and people would tune in and watch.
I agree, but like
throughout.
these questions are good that I'm seeing in chat, and like we keep coming up with them too. I think like let's give ourselves the visual nugget of information, be like, whoa, what did I just watch? And then we can go to town.
All right. So, yeah. So 2011 has the least amount of videos to watch. So we have this. We'll watch this, talk for a while, and then we'll watch some of those testimonials.
Yeah, that we can still do those at the end.
Okay. So this I am going to fast forward through part of it because it's just them ripping off the Lizzie Borden song.
Yeah, that pissed me off. We're big Lizzie Borden fans. I don't know if you guys know that.
At the start right here, the reason why he put that slide,
Uh-huh.
my grandma actually went through.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. So that's about you, huh?
Yeah, because what ended up happening was she went through like a couple rooms, and then there's this one room where like the floor was like going side to side, and her foot got stuck in it, and they had to like the actors like stopped, and then some of the actors like helped get her foot out, and then like they stopped her tour.
Wow.
But she was going in alone.
Oh man.
And I was acting that night too.
Your grandma's a badass.
So this person here, is this an actor?
No. That's
Christopher.
That's a real participant.
Okay.
No, that is important to know.
Well, we do have to stop the 8 minutes.
Well, because that's the first time we've ever seen. That is the first time that we've ever seen a participant in that cooler up until this point, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that you said was Gracie, the neighbor. She is just broken there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
First time we see a participant being fully pulled into the couch.
You know.
If you guys caught our last episode,
one.
they were pulled and touched, but not all the way pulled into the couch. First time we see a person in the coffin with them.
You know. There's that saw that we'll discuss, and I mean, he just got sacked.
Yeah. And of course, what we talked about earlier, the first time we see someone being, is constrained the right word? Give me the right word for that, Brandon Vance.
Restrained sounds good.
Restrained. Okay, so not constrained.
Bless your heart.
Was that you a little while ago?
No, I haven't seen myself yet.
I was gonna say, let us know if we see you in this, because you're working this year, right?
Yeah. So
At 10 years old, that's crazy to me.
I was the ghillie suit. I was in the clown room.
Okay.
At one point, I was an electric chair guy. I worked the claustrophobia room right there.
Was all of this in his backyard?
Yeah.
Because his backyard wasn't big.
Yeah, they were very small rooms.
We're gonna get the layout. That's one of my questions. I want, like, as much as you can remember, the exact layout of how he set up the yard.
That was a great effect there.
And still, like, to me,
I was in that right there.
Oh, you were?
Yeah, I was one of those doing that. That was a personal shot that he had us like
right
go
here?
in for. Yeah,
Oh.
It wasn't an actual tour.
Right.
On that
B-roll.
one. He just called us in on a day off and like had us do that shot.
Which one are you? You black hair, purple hair, or pink hair?
I think I was pink or purple. I don't know which.
Well, what color are your eyes?
My eyes are like gray. They can look either blue or green.
Okay.
I have gray.
I think you were pink hair because I was looking at the eye color.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can kind of hear the kid voices too.
Russ like pulls them out of school.
Oh, that's so
hey,
gross.
I need to do some B-roll footage.
Yeah.
That's me right there.
Oh, you were the clown?
The little clown?
Yep.
Let's get a shot of the little clown.
So were you mostly...
Right
is it safe to say that...
you?
Yeah, you can see like my arms like kind of overweight, you know. You can tell my build's the same.
Were you mostly in masks? Like, was that mostly your... Because we see a lot of the actors, specifically the female actors, I've noticed, with just more of the makeup. Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes the female actors would wear masks, but yeah, I was always in a mask. Or
you were always in a mask?
Yeah.
Okay.
How many actors were minor?
I'd say it was like 50-50.
Really?
Yeah.
So in my opinion here, as we're watching this ongoing, like, definitely things that I have complaints about. Definitely, in my opinion, and that you can call me Karen all you want, I think this is way too extreme for kids at this point. But other than that, it's a scary, well-produced haunted house. Still, I think. What about you, Kris, Brandon?
I mean, yeah.
Like in haunt standard.
It's scary. Like, I don't think it's well produced as the safety aspects are not there.
That's what I meant was like storytelling, props, like all the pieces.
For a
You're
home haunt.
It's not safe. Yeah.
For a home haunt, just the reactions that we're seeing, this is insane.
Is that Gracie again?
Yeah.
Yeah, she does give very good camera
footage
to us.
Was that chainsaw guy? Is that supposed to be Russ? Because it kind of looks like Russ.
I'm not sure. It was just a recording.
Yeah, because you can buy that.
I wasn't sure if he got it made personally at like Transworld or something.
That's a good question too. I know it's not fair because I'm like, let's wait, and like we're asking questions, but
Yeah.
we're making the chat
Real
wait.
nice.
Yeah. That's
I
why I'm
want to
kinda
try to
trying
point
be
things out
quiet right
as we're
now.
seeing them.
Yeah.
So you said 50-50 minors and adults. Like, how many total actors were there?
I could actually go on my Facebook chat right now and pull up like the old chat to see.
Like a schedule.
Yeah, because if I scroll down far enough, I have the old chats where he would tell each actor like what part they were doing.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh, Kris, I have so much, man.
Yeah. I know, me too.
We got time. So
Okay.
after we go through this, we just got to make sure that we are also balancing out with chat and
Yeah.
answering questions as well.
Yeah, same Jedi, same, big same, big same. I do not know how your little 9-year-old soul went through there the year before you started working there. Like, I can't imagine.
It was definitely really scary going in.
Yeah.
And these are all real reactions.
Yeah, they're all real reactions.
But
It's because
I mean,
he selectively picked the ones that like
Would be the scaredest.
Yeah.
would be the scaredest.
It's
It's kind of
just-
like something like the Price is Right, where like they'll like pick a contestant that's most likely gonna be the most excited.
Mm-hmm.
It's similar to that, but Russ like wanted to kind of prey on like their like fear.
Right.
We're gonna see the saw blade here.
why did that one? Did they make you remove your shoes at some point? Shoes and socks?
I think before the saw room, yeah.
What? Why? Why would you have to take your shoes and socks off?
I
Don't
think a
wanna
couple.
walk on the carpet.
Yeah, I think a couple people like did because their shoes got soaked.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
again, a person in the coffin.
Yeah.
Oh.
I actually just scrolled down and found like all the chats.
Oh.
Oh,
Sweet.
hey, is this your brother?
Yeah.
That's your brother in chat?
Oh. Yeah. Leyland.
Hi.
He's in the same room as me.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
He's
Hi.
right there. Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay. Wow.
All right.
So let's answer some of the chat's questions first.
Yeah.
But I think overall we're all in agreement here, and for anyone who's been following our series and saw episode 1, which showed 2009 and 2000, well, a little clip from 2007, but 09 and 2010, we can all agree that just like 09 ramped up a little bit in 010, and then the hoods were introduced and some other elements, now what we just saw for 2011 definitely ramped up. We've got tons more aggression. We've got
Restraints.
And
yeah, things are being restrained.
More intensity.
And physical interactions definitely happening. So the first thing, and this was something that that was not the question. This was something that we talked about on the last episode too, a little bit, or maybe this was on a different live I was on, and there was somebody.
No, we talked about this a little.
Okay. The acting. Were you given a script, or was it pretty much just free for all? You do whatever you want.
So there's like certain things where like we had to do something. So like for example, in the swamp room at the start with like the ghillie suit guy like jumping out, that was a more like restricted role where all you do is you would press like a button that would make the huge roaring sound, and then you would you would pick your chance to go and like bear hug someone in the group.
Okay, so
Okay.
you were told to just run and bear hug them. Were you told to
Yeah.
knock them over, or like, what did he say anything like that to you, or just run up and hug them?
Just like kind of jump out, lean out, and bear hug them, and like kind of like grab them,
Okay.
and just like do a tiny like shake, and then that's it, and then go back into the like weeds.
And this is instruction you were given when, well, I guess first off, how long did you work there? Did you just work there one season or
Yeah.
multiple seasons? This one season. Okay. So
Yeah.
keep in mind, this is all, everything he's telling you to do is all instruction for 10-year-olds. So we don't know necessarily if there was different instructions for adults, but as far as you know,
Yeah.
do you remember if there was?
I actually worked there like further than the season because like he was doing some things like preparation during the springtime for the next season before before I actually had a falling out with him. And I would go with him to his storage unit and help him like move some things into the storage, take some things out that he was going to put in the haunt and stuff like that. Some different props and all of that.
All right.
So
let's get into that part just a little bit later.
yeah.
I don't want to give away anything too much yet with that. About how much time between groups going through? Like, did you guys have to reset rooms in that?
I think, well, each group it would take like 30 to 45 minutes. I think more around 45 minutes. And they wouldn't go like consecutive. So once a group went in, they had to come out on the other side before the next group went in.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting. So it's not like, so it really wasn't, it was a maze haunt, but it wasn't like a typical kind of conga line effect. Because I always was under the impression that's what it was, but it makes sense, especially with Russ's obsession with having to film everything, right?
Could you do a real simple
I was gonna say
explanation? No, I don't want you to draw nothing. But could you give us a simple play-by-play of how you walk through, like where you actually were in the house and what you went into?
Well, can I make a suggestion?
Mm-hmm.
Well, if we could pull up his old house on Google Earth and maybe point out.
Brandon, you're asking me to do a lot of stuff that
you do that, Brandon.
Some outside the box thinking there. That's a good idea.
Well, maybe we could even circle back and talk to you later. It's not like you're going anywhere. Like we're gonna stay in touch with you, so we could always circle back and have a phone call. And Brandon Vance, sorry, I keep trying to say Brat and Brett, so you guys know who I'm talking to. Vance, you could do your 3D thing.
Oh,
we could like recreate the whole thing.
That'd be cool.
Sorry, I'm just geeking out. Okay, this is all information that I didn't think we were going to have access to.
Let's keep doing this interview, huh, boss?
Yeah. Okay, sorry.
So, could you just walk us through like a real simple step-by-step? Like, so did you ever go in the actual house?
No. None of it was in the actual house except the garage.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is that where it started, or you started on the side of the house and then you just kind of weaved your way through the backyard?
Yeah, so pretty much it started on the right side of the house. The swamp room was first. Then you would loop to the like left, like kind of like a curve to the left, and it would start like snaking its way through the garage. And the next room I think was the like platform one where my grandma got stuck, and like you would get sprayed in that room with water, and some actors would touch your feet from underneath. And then you go into the garage. Was really weird. There wasn't really much going on in the garage outside of like actors kind of like touching you from behind like curtains and stuff. And then you would kind of like when you snake around, you go like straight and then through like another hallway where they would get touched, and then you would kind of come back to the side of the house. And then that's where, once you start going on the side of the house again, there's the claustrophobia room. And then after that, there's like a vampire room. And then right then and there, he would hood you and then take you through 3 rooms where the coffin room was, the electric chair room was, and then that one where you saw the chainsaw guy like go into the actor that was like handcuffed. That was the last room. And then there was like the outside yard where the saw room was, and that's when your masks would be taken off after going through those 3 rooms.
So you were blindfolded in those 3 rooms?
At first, because those rooms were gonna be shown to the participants later. But
I get it.
You
So
doubled them up.
he's doubling them up.
yeah, but like the first time around, it's just to get to the next room that's on the opposite side.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
So like one is to get you to a different place. I mean, it essentially evolved or devolved into Russ blindfolding you and driving you in circles.
Yeah, he was like, you know what? I'm doing so good at making this haunt seem really long. It could be endless if I just never take off.
Right. So the makeup of it sounds like there was a little bit in the garage, and then the other was just around the sides of the house, so that there was like a wall, and then the rest of the walls were sheets, and like were the roofs tents, or like what was the material used to make these rooms?
So the roofs, I think the walls were wooden from what I remember in the backyard, because the whole backyard too, after you go on the side of the house, the whole backyard had like the other rooms that like you go in and also like cut through like blindfolded. But it was like a tin, they were like tin roofs with like you know, like the tin roofs where it goes like this.
Yeah.
Like it has like indents. Kind of like a shed would have or something.
Right.
Out like on a farm, or yeah, that's the best way I can explain it.
I heard him say once on an interview, and we'll probably listen to it on this channel at some point, because I think I heard it recently when I was researching, but he basically admits and says that he got away with as much as he could possibly, like every square inch of his patio that was legally allowed for him to build on.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Without having to like apply for building permits and stuff.
Yeah, so, he made use of a lot of room.
Brandon, I know you're just sitting on like a plethora of questions over there. I want to hear some out of you.
I am. I'm trying to do like 3 things. I'm about to.
You're looking at that Google. You're looking at that Google image, aren't you?
No, I think he's creating a 3D bill.
Oh yeah,
3D map as Brendan's been talking. How big was this backyard? Exactly. Well, that's what I want to know too.
It was very small, but he made the rooms.
Well, and his entire backyard looks like it's paved over. I just sent it to you, Kris. I was also trying to pull it up to see if I could find the image from 2011 when he went through, but so I guess how much interaction did you have with Russ from the time that you got there until you left every night? Was it a lot of interaction, or?
Yeah, because like he would take us like some of the kids to go get like snow cones and stuff and snacks like on like days off occasionally, and then also because like I helped him with like some of his storage stuff, I had a level of interaction with him. And then every night after the tours were all done at 10 o'clock, Carol would like make all the actors food and like kind of have like a dinner party every night. And then once people were done like eating or whatever, they would just like start leaving. And
did you enjoy being around him? And when you were around him with other kids, were his kids with him?
No, his kids weren't there ever. I think something went down
They had
with
moved out
them
around
at,
then, I think. Or
yeah.
Lindsay had.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's tiny.
It is. So it on the right side, yeah, right there, that's where the haunt started in the gate. And then right there you go into the garage, the side door where the like black is.
Okay.
Or black bags or whatever. And then you would like start snaking your way to the front of the like garage.
Okay.
And then you would go to the right and then kind of make like a rectangle and back around like in the whole garage, yeah. And then you would
Okay.
go back out onto the side. And then you would go like further down that way to all the way to the back, like going through like small rooms. And then that's right around there was like the vampire room,
Mm-hmm.
like where the wood starts.
Oh.
Yeah,
No.
where the patio starts. No.
Okay.
Yeah. That's patio.
Yeah, down. So down like by the fence. Yeah, right there.
Yeah.
That's where the
Okay.
vampire room was. And I think both the year that the train room was there and the saw room, that's when the people would get hooded and then brought along that like wooden pathway to where the grass is on the other side. And that's where you would pass through like the 3 rooms that I was talking about. And then the saw room is where that like brownish tile was. Yeah. And there would be a chair in the grass area where the saw would like come out from that room and get in people's
right there.
faces.
Mm-hmm. No,
to the left.
Oh, right here.
That's
Yeah, right
a fence. The grass area you were just
I wasn't
touching
sure if the grass
is,
area, like if they hit it on like the
mountain.
neighbor's property or something.
Oh, no, it was
That's
all
what
in
it
that
looks like,
yard.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because behind is all mountain going like a big hill, right?
Yeah. And then after that saw room, there was the couch room.
So probably next
Right, yeah, right
at the
behind the
corner
saw
of the
room.
house, yeah.
It was right behind the saw room, actually. So there's actually
Oh,
nothing on the other
okay.
side.
I keep touching
Yeah.
as if Kris is gonna know what I'm pointing at.
So go to the right. Go to
I
the
know,
right
it's
where the saw
so
room
small
was.
for a 45-minute
Yeah.
tour. It's insane.
From one edge to that fence to the other edge is only 56 feet, by the way.
Oh yeah, the rooms were very
That's
tiny.
great.
Wow.
Well, you can see in the video, you can see, I mean, the halls are like this, right? For the most part. And you get to some rooms and they open up, but when people are walking, it's like shoulder to shoulder walls or sheets. My next question would be in this configuration that you're talking about, and I think maybe Brenden mentioned this before, or Kris, one of you guys mentioned this, that it's typical in haunted houses for actors to have little hallways where they can like run back and forth to get to their different their different scare. How did actors move around, or was there enough actors that everyone just kind of stayed in their spot for the entirety of the tour?
There was like ways where we could cut through the actual house and get
Okay.
to like the sliding glass door to enter where the coffin room was, and then sneak around to like your next spot. So I remember from the swamp room at the start, after they would leave that room, I would take off my swamp suit kind of by like the door to get into their house. And then I would cut through the house, go to like the sliding door, and then like cut through those rooms and get to the saw room, which was like my next place. And I was like one of the actors to where after they were done with the saw room, you would like walk through a hallway and then like make like a churn, and we would act like statues and then jump out at them and like grab them and like push them and stuff.
Well, it also helps that, again, this isn't a conga line type of a haunt. It's like nobody enters until the first group's out.
Yeah.
So that helps too. And how many actors did you say there were roughly? You said you were going to check. We don't need exact numbers. Like if you could guess how many worked on any given night. Was there 10, 20, 5?
I'm reading it right now. So
Okay.
Glenn, my friend, me.
Don't say all their names.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, some of them may not want to be
No,
known.
yeah. My bad. So 4, 6, wait, 8. It looks like there was 9 actors, excluding Russ and Carol.
Okay.
Wow, I thought there was so many more
Me
from
too.
these videos. That's wild. But I also thought the place was a lot bigger. I thought we were actually going into the house, so that we can stand corrected on our first video. We talked about
You did.
You said, "Oh, they're going into the basement."
They
said-
mentioned basement. They do.
So-
But I was always under the impression it was just the backyard
yeah.
and the garage. I was.
So,
Until the basement comment.
Was there a safe word in 2011?
No, but you could say like if you were like freaking out bad enough, like Russ would like I think feel a little sympathy and like let you out. But other than that, he wouldn't let anyone out if they like wanted out.
Not if he's filming, huh?
No.
Because Sandy was pretty bad, and Bumblebee begged a few times. But yeah, so you're saying so there wasn't a safe word, but if he was feeling bad enough, or what about? Do you feel like there was any? I didn't see any watching the video we watched last week, but was there any sort of differential in treatment that he gave kids going through versus adults? Like if he had a group of just kids, did they tone it down a little bit, or?
I wouldn't say
just,
so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say
definitely
so.
Definitely no toning down.
So we saw like these grown adults tied up in that chair and that saw coming in. Would he do that to kids?
Yeah, so if you go back on the video, there's like an African American child that whom I know very well, like growing up in
I pointed that out. Chris is forgetting.
Yeah, no, I remember that.
In elementary, middle school, and high school, I knew him.
How old was he?
He was my age. He was same grade as me. Yeah.
Jeez. And was like crying. I'm pretty sure crying.
Yeah.
Because when Chris and I watched that the other night, and I said, that is a child, and they are crying.
Yeah.
I mean, as a 10-year-old, there was probably not a part of you as a 10-year-old boy, I would assume, that wasn't just like, this is cool AF. Like, I'm working at like such a scary place, and like, I bet all the kids thought it was the coolest thing. Like, as an adult, do you look back and wonder, like, were there things that maybe were told to do as kids that maybe weren't great?
I think for the most part he kept the kids doing like the lesser roles.
Yeah.
And he had the adults or like the like 17, 18-year-olds doing the more hands-on stuff, like the saw chair right here.
Mm-hmm.
That I think he was an adult at that time, and same as the other person was definitely an adult. And then the people that did the hoods, those were adult actors. Mm-hmm. So he definitely like tried to make sure the kids weren't doing anything like too crazy.
Okay,
Have you?
I didn't even think about this till I saw those two comments. Did any kids ever get hurt by the people going through?
Right.
I don't remember anyone getting hurt. I remember a few times there was like bad panic attacks to where he did like pull a couple people out
Wow.
into like the house and like stopped like them going through.
I don't know if this is what you meant, Kris, but I'm wondering the kid actors.
Yeah,
Did
that's what
any
I'm
of you,
talking about.
yeah, did
The
any of you
kid
guys ever get
actors.
swamped? Because, I mean, lots of people have that fight or flight mode that kicks in at haunted houses. Did any kid actors ever get swung at or?
Oh, no. We
Okay.
never got hurt. Yeah. No.
Okay.
Yeah, never happened.
Now, I got another question. Brandon, maybe you've heard this too. I don't know what year it happened, but didn't somebody grab the axe from one of the actors and try swinging it at the staff at one point?
I think I
Yeah.
remember that.
That was 2010, I believe. And I think he was talking about Gracie. That was an interview.
It was Gracie, yep.
And he said because Gracie really thought that she thought, like, she got in her head thinking she really was Mary.
Yeah,
Mary Parker.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, we know Russ and his, you know, his penchant for laziness, but it seemed back then, you know, it seemed like he took care of his stuff a little bit better. Was there ever an instance where one of these gags or one of these props broke with the contestant on it or anything like that?
No.
See,
none of that happened.
See, this is night and day, Kris, Boston. I mean, this is to me, I'm seeing night and day. And I've been taking a ton of notes here, and it's like back then he actually cared, right? To a degree, he cared. Now he doesn't care.
Yeah, okay. So yes, I would say he had a passion to scare back then.
Yeah.
Where now he doesn't, but I still think that he was not a mentally fit person back then.
Absolutely
to
not.
be putting this on. I mean, this is the mind of a madman. Like, this is so out of control and unsafe, and there's so many variables at play that somebody seriously could have been hurt.
I think he still obviously has some kind of a passion to scare. I mean, he feeds off the fear of others, especially the film captured fear of people, whether it's spraying somebody in a blindfold in a cage in his backyard or going through this elaborate haunted house. I think the difference, in my opinion, Brandon, is kind of a respect for the art. I think back then in these years he still had very much respect for the scenery, for the thought that goes through the jump scares, where to put people, but there was never any sense of like,
well, no, I mean, clearly it was all about him, right? Clearly, I mean, let me rephrase that. I shouldn't have used the word cared. It's I should have used that he actually planned, right? Because like when Brenden said that Carol would sit there and tell him the backstory, right? Before the thing came in. There's no backstory now, right?
No.
Like there's no videos now. The editing on the videos was so much better, you know, than it is now. Now it's just lives in a stupid group, right? You know, there's contraptions that aren't sitting on the side in a barn just rusting to pieces, right? It seemed like, you know, it was all about him and his ego, but he at least put some effort into it, right?
Right.
And it seemed like Brenden had stuff to do, like he had a plan, you know, he had a character to play. So that's what I meant by and it just seems like, you know, and I'm going to be the dissenting opinion on this too. A lot of people are saying, you know, 10 years old, 10 videos minus the touching look very similar to any other haunted house where I live, their type reaction videos that you see online, right? On any one of their websites. Like a bunch of scares up close and personal, you know, camera right in their faces as they're getting scared, you know, CCTV type TV, you know.
But kids aren't being hooded and
Yeah, I
thrown
think
around.
that's
Yes.
the consensus by the group here. Everybody's saying,
Yeah,
yeah,
I agree with
it's a
you.
boo hunt, and yeah, of course, yeah, you're going to use the best footage when you're showing that stuff for a hunt. You're going to use kids going through and being scared, and kids of all ages can go to some of these haunts out there. But what we're seeing is this child strapped to a chair,
Right.
unable to move, getting a blindfold removed off of his face to only see a massive saw come at him.
So
Like,
where are his parents? And I don't mean to interrupt you, Kris, but I think that's important. Like when these kids were going through, were their parents going through with them? Okay, see that's a big game changer right there.
Yeah, your kid
But
just
is that
out.
up to the parent in a neighborhood home hunt, or is it up to the person running the home hunt to make sure that it's appropriate or not for
I
children?
mean, I think
You
it
know what I
goes
mean?
twofold.
It goes twofold, but at a neighborhood home hunt, like I would assume as a parent, in like I'm assuming it looks like a nice neighborhood where you guys were all friendly with each other. People knew each other's neighbors, like you said. Half the people working for us were neighbors, friends. I would assume like, oh, there's an awesome home haunted house run by my neighbor up the street. Like, yeah, I'd let my 10-year-old kid go. Like, especially a kid who's into Halloween and stuff. I wouldn't think twice about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think this goes into something that we've talked about with extreme haunts in general. It's up to the owner to know the limits of their patrons going through.
Yeah.
If it is unsafe for the patron to be going through, if they are mentally unready for it, you have to be that deciding judgment of when to call it, not the patron. And we see that now with Russ not abiding by that, and we see it back then with Russ not abiding by it.
Well, yes, and all kids are different. Brenden, you went through in 2010. Do you feel you were scarred for life? I mean, you did go work the next year for him. So I think you, as 9-year-old, 10-year-old Brenden, had a great time, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Boston would not. Boston would be scarred for life. So it does depend on the kid too.
Yeah.
Well, why didn't Russ like insist that the parents accompany the child when they went through? Or a better question is why didn't the parents insist that they go through with their own child?
I think so on the parents' like responsibility, like it's kind of like what I was talking about earlier, where I think the parents assume like it's just like a normal basic boo haunt, right?
Mm-hmm.
And doesn't really know actually what goes on in these rooms. And Russ was like very, very like insistent on like telling
Secretive.
people not to tell anyone else about what goes on.
Whoa.
Like I even tried like asking some of my friends at school that like, oh, what was going on in the haunted house, like what went on in some rooms, and they wouldn't tell me. Like they were like, oh, you had to find out yourself.
So Brenden, when you went through then and you came back, you know, covered in fake blood and all this other grime and stuff to your parents, did your parents not say, I thought you went through a haunted house. Why are you so dirty, wet, and nasty? Like, clearly that's not a typical haunted house.
Yeah.
Well, any little kid would be like, sorry,
Yeah.
you can answer.
I don't know. My grandparents were kind of like had like a permissive parenting style. Okay. So like they were concerned, but like also they gave me a lot of freedom growing up to make some of my own like decisions.
Yeah,
make your bad decisions yourself.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm saying all the latchkey kids from the 80s too and the 90s, like we all were in my neighborhood. I was allowed to run around, go wherever. Like I never went into the haunted houses in our neighborhoods, but because I was too scared. My friends would, and I never assumed, like no parent was ever like, you just assume it's kid friendly, especially if it's a Halloween home in somebody's house haunt. And when I say kid friendly, I don't mean not scary. Right. I mean, like, of course, that's the whole point of a haunted house is to be scary, is to freak them out. But when you put a hood on a child's head, or when you grab a child and pull them into a couch, or if what said child is screaming and crying, especially as a haunt actor, I would assume, and there are haunt actors here I know that can probably answer this better for me, but I'd assume at a home haunt of that level with children, you'd kind of take your cue and back off, maybe pat them on the back a little bit, give them a little fist bump, like you see some of the haunt actors do at Universal Studios when kids freak out, you know?
Yeah.
Instead of like, I'm going to now strap you to this chair and have a saw come out your face.
Boston's haunt's going to be so lame when she makes it. High fives for everybody in each room. You made it through the room,
I'm
guys.
just
High
saying.
five.
She's gonna
Oh my
give them a
God.
pillow. She's
Am
gonna
I
give
wrong?
them a pillow or a stuffy.
Am I wrong? Like I've seen
It's a
see
haunt.
that happen.
It's
I
a
know,
haunt.
but there's a difference between a haunt and an extreme haunt, and when you're with little kids.
Yeah.
With little kids,
So,
if you got a child having a panic attack and sobbing as a haunt actor, don't you like maybe not continue to be in their face? Or is that just like a sadistic? I'm sorry.
I remember, you got to remember, we're also seeing what Russ wants us to see in these videos.
Yeah, but we've got someone down here
I know.
who knows.
Yeah.
I know, so I should probably stop talking over
So-
him the entire time.
Yeah.
Well, what was your falling out with Russ?
Wait, no. We're
Oh,
saving that. That's for-
Falling out?
yeah, that's for the end.
That's
Oh,
the end.
that-
That's the grand
that's the
finale.
Yeah, that's
We're-
the kaboom.
So, got a question here. Was Russ respectful and kind to you throughout the time when you worked with him before your falling out?
I'd say so, but I feel like I was always like nervous around him. Like, I felt like really, really comfortable with Carol, like because of the environment, like, at like that she would like provide. But like Russ, to me it seemed like he was so focused on himself, and there was like signs of him like kind of ramping up where, he had this like greedy ambition every year to try to make it more crazy and crazy and crazy, and he just like didn't care like about how it affected others. He was just like tunneled on his own like weird desires.
Hmm.
Mhm.
And he was like respectful, but they're just like, I was always nervous around him. I don't know why. It was just like intuition, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would he yell at you? Would he get angry with you guys?
If we messed up in a room, I think he would kind of get angry. But I wouldn't say it was like anything crazy.
Now, what does messing up consist of?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you define that?
Like if we didn't like do something at a specific timing, like let's say pressing the button in the swamp room and like hugging someone that was like more like a good target, or in the clown room there's like another button that you would press. It would be like an alarm when all the clowns would jump out and then like get in the person's face, and sometimes like we didn't press that in time, like when the people came in. There's like different cues he had that we're supposed to like press the button and start like the action, you know, and if we like mistimed that, like he would get frustrated.
Was he with every, now that we know, because that was news to me that the tours weren't a conga line, was he with every single tour that went through?
Yeah.
What was his
Every
role?
single one. His role was like he would kind of just like lead them with his camera and his like light that he would wear, and he would kind of egg on like the people in the front, like kind of like he would say weird comments that would like make them even more fearful or more scared, and just kind of like play with them mentally. And and there's specific things that he would say like for like when we were supposed to like, that we would know, oh, that's a cue to like press the button in the clown room.
Oh, like he would say a line to his little group, like wait till you see what's here now, and like that word would cue you guys. Brandon Vance, did you even watch our first episode in this series, by the way, man?
No.
I know, I figured. Because yeah, you can see that, and anyone who has not watched it, please go watch part 1 when you have time to the series, because again, it did cover
We went room by room with
Yeah.
video footage of what went on in each of them.
and that
So
was '07 through 2010 to Nights
Mhm.
2011, which is the year that Brendan worked or started working. But we saw Russ say exactly what Brendan just described
yeah, so
over and over again.
and I apologize. I know there's a bunch of questions in chat, and I am so far behind in chat to
I got
get
'em.
all these. But I got a question because some math isn't mathing for me all of a sudden. He would say how many. He would list a good amount of people going through every night, right? But if the groups are only 4 to 5 people in a group, and it starts at 7 o'clock and has to end by 10, and it's a 50-minute tour, that's only about 15 people a night.
I would say there's like 4 groups a night.
4 groups a night.
That's
so
it.
So
Yeah.
about 20 people a night went through, but yet he would talk about on these things, these lines being lined up around the house and that.
Well, they probably
Oh
were.
no, there was. So
Because you
let me.
think about it, you had to be in line to wait.
Yeah,
So pretty much what would happen is like, it was like first come first serve. There wasn't any like reservations. So, if you wanted to go through, like you would have to get there sometimes even like an hour early and get in line and just like wait and wait. And if there wasn't enough time at like 8 or 9 for the people in the back end of the line, I think Carol would come out and tell them, oh, like you guys aren't going to be able to come in, like come tomorrow or
Right, you
something.
can go home now. Yeah.
Yeah. And then like the people that were going to be able to go in like stayed in the line.
Is that why it started on September 2nd? Because that's a long haunt season.
Yeah, probably, to get like a lot of people going in.
So I'll have to double check this for everybody, and we can even add it to the description of this video of the changes in 2011. Because for the 2000, there was at some point, I can't remember if it was 2010 or 2011, but there was some point where he makes some sort of an announcement or on his description of the video saying like, this year 50-minute tours, like as if that was a new thing. As far as you know, and he said this year 2 months out of the year, September and October. So as far as you know, did you have any friends who went through previously who talked about it being differently years prior to that?
No, I did have a couple friends that worked with me during 2011, including the one that we're gonna cover later.
Yeah.
But yeah, they also worked with me the same year. I also know someone that like worked a couple years after me, and then I had another friend that I think worked 2012 that is one of my best friends too.
Okay, let's get through some of these questions real quick.
I was just gonna suggest that.
Did Russ videotape every tour at this point?
Yeah, he videotaped every tour.
Like with a handheld camera, or?
Yeah, it was like he would hold the handheld camera and like have the light strapped to his head, and he would just like kind of like just lead the group in the front to each room. And then and then when you get in the room, he would pause, and then like the actors would kind of do like their roles.
Yeah, I wanted this one was, I scrolled back up because I liked this question. Did he let you guys have some creativity or expression in your own roles? We know that you were kind of given some direction.
Yeah.
Or were there specific actions and scripts you had to follow?
So the clown room, yes, there is some creative expression because like once the button would go off, the alarm would go off, then we would like be able to kind of like freely go in, kind of surround the like group and start like touching them, like and grabbing, like pushing, pulling, like kind of just like giving like an interactive thing in that way.
But did he
So
go ahead? Sorry.
he didn't have like a specific. He he basically just said like for us to just go at it type of thing. Like
Right.
it wasn't to the point though like during the van years or whatever where like people were getting beat up. It was just like simple like push pulls, grabs, stuff like that.
But would he tell you like off limit things? Like you'd
Like
say,
no neck.
yeah.
Yeah.
Was there like any type of training that he would give you guys?
No, I don't remember that.
Well,
Interesting.
at this point, did they charge to go through the haunt, or was it just free back then too?
They did not charge at all because I think California had a rule, at least at that point, where if he, from what I heard from Russ, basically if he charged people to go in at that time, California wouldn't let him have the actors touch. It would just be a jump scare haunt instead of like a level up that he wanted to do. So that's why he did the whole dog food thing, because he was like he wanted it more extreme.
Well, he's said that in interviews starting back from 2007. He even mentions this is a free, even when it was, I don't think what I'd consider extreme at all. But he would say this is a free home haunt, which is why what we're doing is perfectly legal. Like he makes sure throughout the years to always say free. One of these years he mentions that it was all canned food and not dog food. That they gave to a different charity, Feeding America, I think.
Yeah, my friend Ahmed's in the chat. At that time it was canned foods.
Yep.
Canned foods.
Yeah.
Well, Ahmed said that he lives down the street from that house.
Yeah, he still lives there.
So was he there? Was he your friend even back in 2011 and whatnot?
Oh yeah, I've known him since kindergarten.
Oh wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Did you ever see any parents confront Russ afterwards?
That's a good question.
Well, I know my grandma confronted him
After the one incident?
after some incidents, yeah. And same as one of my friend's mom. And then outside of that, I think maybe another actor's parent got like involved. But yeah, that's all I know in terms of like parental involvement.
Well, other than parents getting involved, like were there any older people that confronted Russ even in the middle of the haunt or outside of the haunt, or any type of heated exchange?
No, not when I was working there.
Okay. Did you ever see Carol and Russ go at it?
No, but I think they're like, I don't know, that there's like a weird dynamic in my opinion. I think like from what I can remember.
What was that?
Like Russ was like so concerned about his haunt and like what he wanted, and like he was just like obsessed with it. And
tunnel vision,
tunnel vision. And I think like to me it seemed like at the time like Carol was like supportive and like treating the actors and stuff, while like Russ was kind of doing his own thing.
Well, did you ever see any signs of his OCD back then?
Oh, big time.
Oh, really? Like what?
Yeah, give us an example.
Just like if like on a day off or whatever, when we would go in there, like a couple of the kids to help Russ, he wanted like to change the rooms in different ways, and if we didn't do it like exactly the way he wanted, like his
He wanted
OCD would kick
control.
in. Yeah. He would get upset.
Hmm.
I remember this like one time where I was like going through the haunt like during the day. I was doing something to help him out, and like it was in that hallway room where I think Mary Parker comes out. It has like white like
Yeah.
tarps on the side. In that room, like he jump scared me. And then he also wanted me to try on the straight jacket at one point. It was odd. Like I said I didn't want to do it, and I didn't end up doing it. But
Good.
it was yeah, it was weird.
I have some. So Ahmed worked there in 2010. Doesn't remember a lot of the situation, but we did cover 2010 in our last episode. So if you want to go through and watch that later, Ahmed, and leave in the comments if you were in any of those clips, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
But that's one of my favorite parts of this thing was the people. I thought it was so cool. The people that jumped out of the washer machine or like the oven, the fridge. Those are some of my favorite parts to watch, at least.
So, was this before or after his surgery? Do you remember? Were you even like? Did you even know he did have brain surgery?
I think I remember. I think he had it like between 2011 and 2012, because I remember he had like a like rap at one point.
Yeah.
I think it was after I worked there though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And he was still in the Navy then, right?
No.
Yeah.
No?
What?
No.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, when did
he was doing, from what I know at the time, his job was like a DJ thing where
Wedding
he
singer.
would like, yeah, he would use the like van to like go do his like day job,
Yeah.
which is like gigs for the DJ.
Josh is asking, did he ever explain to you guys why he was filming every tour back then?
That's a good question.
No, I just kind of like from my observations, it seemed like he just enjoyed like getting every reaction.
He enjoyed getting every reaction. That's a very interesting phrase. Why did you say it like that?
Cause like the like, it seemed like sometimes he would just like laugh like when people were like really like scared. He would like enjoy it and kind of like egg it on in some ways, make more comments to like get them even more in like that fear mindset. And
Wow.
yeah, that's why I say I think like he just enjoyed getting every reaction.
So when he wasn't getting a reaction, was he noticeably unhappier?
I think so. He wanted us to like churn it up, like if people weren't giving the reaction.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
We all kind of got to look at the
Like,
same time,
oh,
like,
yeah.
oh,
This makes so
okay.
much sense.
I believe, I don't know if it's Kris or who else, but in the Hulu documentary in Monster Inside, somebody says, thought it was you, Kris, that his videos are like his trophies.
Yeah.
You know.
So there wasn't water in the fridge at this point, correct? Like in the cooler, there was no water, but I do have a sanitary issue. How did you, and maybe you never took part in this, which is totally cool, but maybe you have talked to other people who have. In these videos we watched, we saw many people spitting a lot of blood on people. How did you ever have to do that to anyone, or do you know anybody that did and how they felt about doing that to someone?
It was, so the blood was actually like food coloring.
Right.
Yeah.
and we just like put it in our mouths. I don't think I ever did it, but I never talked to the actors who were doing it, like asking them their opinion on it.
Right.
But yeah, there's definitely like a lot of like we had a lot of free reign to like do some of the more like physical stuff like that.
Did you ever hear Russ tell people to be spitting on other people's in their face, so to speak?
So I don't exactly know the instructions he gave to like the other actors personally,
Mm-hmm.
because I think he like had like kind of one-on-one talks about like our each one of our roles and like exactly what he wanted us to do.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm pretty sure like that would have been something that like specific that he wanted, because because think
It
about it,
happens so much.
he would have to give the actor the food coloring, you know,
Mm-hmm.
to put in their mouth, right? Like
Yeah.
it's clearly intentional if he's buying
Mm-hmm.
food coloring for the actors to do that, right?
Yeah, and it happened so much, but with so many different actors, and they mostly looked older from the videos that I've seen. But it even ramps up even more in 2012, that'll be next week. Will be
Mhm.
Yeah.
2012. But it's such a common thing that like, yeah, either they all decided to just do it on their own, and then Russ was like, okay, not a big deal, or he asked people to. It's one or the other, you know.
Yeah. I think it was more he asked like to do that because he definitely was very hands-on like with his obsession for it, right? Of like having every year get more and more extreme.
Mm-hmm.
And he each year he changed like or added things on that the actors would do, or have new props that were like really expensive, stuff like that.
Sure. Now, did anyone um ever give you advice on what to do if somebody was injured when you were there?
No.
Was it the dog food started in Tennessee? I thought they also did dog food in San Diego too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
they
think the
did.
dog food started like 2012 or 2013.
Yeah, I know they did. Because they used to donate to a greyhound rescue, right?
Hmm.
And that was when Carol was in the picture.
Yeah.
Did he have any favorite actors back then?
Uh, Probably the ones that like would help him out, like not during haunt season, would be his favorites.
Really?
Yeah, there's
Huh.
there's like three of us, I think, or four that would
Did he
Kids.
occasionally help him.
did he ever seem uncomfortable around the kids?
We're going to get to that.
Oh,
We're gonna get to that. Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Um,
There's Kris, did you go through? Yeah, you're way
I'm
back.
I'm
Kris.
almost through them. I never went through the California haunt. No.
Dies in suicide. Okay. And to answer, I think we did kind of already answer this, Josh. He didn't really, but correct me if I'm wrong. He didn't really hire people, right? It was more like
Word of
a
mouth.
word of mouth and like neighborhood friends, neighborhood kids,
Yeah.
neighborhood
way-
adults.
The way I actually got hired back in like 2011, my friends were working there, and I would literally wait like the 4 hours that the haunt was open for my friend to end, and we'd go like hang out at the park at like 10 o'clock at night, and or like just go back to my house and my friends would sleep over. And it was like the first week and a half where I would just like a f- the few days I would like wait out there, and then eventually they had asked me, "Oh, do I want to like work with like at the haunt since I'm always waiting outside?"
Yeah.
And I was like, Yes, I'd love to. And that's kind of how it like happened. And then
So did they have you sign anything to work there, or it was just they said, "Hey, come work with us," and you were
We're
like,
not
"Sure," and
being
you started
paid.
hanging out?
they actually had my grandma come to like a talk outside of their house and made sure like it was okay.
Okay.
Okay, so that
And
answers that question.
yeah. And then after that they laid some ground rules with me, and then once that was done, I forgot exactly what the ground rules were. It was just like one of Russ's rules is like no cussing, right? Like
Mm,
he has like those obsessed like little rules that he wanted to make sure like all the actors kept to.
hmm.
No cussing, no, and he brings this up in every interview, even back then. No sexual stuff. No
Yeah.
accidentally. He
Yeah.
talked about that,
So did
how
he
he
bring
wouldn't
that
let
up to
kids
you?
ever touch people.
I do not remember if he actually brought anything up in terms of like sexual.
Okay. So why don't we, because we got about a little over 20 minutes left. Why don't we start gearing into your falling out with Russ?
Do we want to
So
watch testimonials first or after
I
that?
I think we're good on even watching testimonials at this point.
No, that's important.
Can I ask Brendan one more question?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
part of the
I've
series.
heard this park get brought up a lot. I see that there's a park like not even 800 feet from his house by an elementary school. Is that the park that is
Yeah.
that same park? Okay.
Yeah, Rolling Hills Park
What?
and Rolling Hills Elementary. I went to the elementary school right there growing up, and
What a fun place to live
yeah,
for a
it was.
kid. Yeah.
It definitely was. We got to like roam the neighborhood like with other neighborhood kids.
Wow.
So
Yeah, we got
let's
your brother saying Rolling Hills Park is so fire.
let's talk about your falling out with Russ, and then if we got time, we'll hit up some testimonials.
We have to.
Okay.
Okay. So at this point, you worked the whole season with him. You have now been helping him prepare with the haunt. And then when you said you helped prepare, it was just moving stuff in the storage units and all that.
Yeah. So actually, the falling out kind of like started when I was working there.
Okay.
But so let me explain like what happened. It was like one night after one like it was late October, I think, and it was after we were acting, and me and my friends had a like running inside joke where, because like he was like this old creepy guy and he owned like a red van, we had this stereotype where we were like joking about how it's like a pedophile would be, right? Like old man with the van.
Yeah.
Yeah. and and eventually one night, because I was kind of like a blabbermouth gullible kid, when I was having the sleepover, um I told them about how my friend Connor, who also worked there, who stopped like working there at the time, that he called them like pedophiles. And right then and there, they flipped out, especially Russ. He ordered me to like leave the house, and then he drove me back home in his like black truck. And when when that happened, I was like, okay, like this is not good. So then anyway, he basically told me that I could not hang out with my friend Connor anymore. And it was either work at the haunt or hang out with my friend Connor. Gave me an ultimatum. I had to choose. Obviously I ended up choosing my friend over like working at the haunt, right? And what he would do to he was like obsessed in making sure I wasn't hanging out with my friend Connor. He would drive by my house and by Connor's house in the neighborhood in his red van just to make sure we were not hanging out. And one time I remember my like Connor was at my house and he was like, oh, hey, I just saw Russ's red van like drive by. And I think that happened a couple times from what I remember. And one time my friend Connor was at like this place called Nickel City, which was an arcade down the street, like in a shopping center, and he drove to the arcade, followed my friend and his mom to the arcade, went into the arcade and yelled and screamed at my friend Connor right in front of his mom. And he was just out at an arcade trying to have fun as a kid, and he was like 12 at the time.
Oh, okay. So real quick, I have a lot to say, and I'm sure the boys do too. There's some confusion in the chat, and then I was a little confused too. So, you went to a sleepover. People are asking a sleepover at Russ's?
Yeah, we're gonna like watch some like horror movie or something.
Was
in
that
the
a
living
normal
room.
thing?
I remember there's another actor there, like another kid actor that was like sleeping over.
Were you hanging out with his kids, or you were just
No,
they
they
sleeping
just
over with Russ?
yeah, with Russ and Carol and another actor.
Around your
And
age?
yeah, and then so I found it like weird. There was this thing that happened that night before I actually like told them that like Connor had told or said like the pedophile
Right.
stuff, and they really wanted me to like take a shower if I was to sleep over. Like they were like firm on me taking a shower before bed and like putting on pajamas.
Whoa.
At their house?
At their house, yeah. And I was like, I was really uncomfortable, but I ended up doing it.
Chris,
It just
Chris.
That's
yeah.
Okay.
so yeah, like I kind of always have found that weird. And then especially the reaction afterward where he just was like super controlling with like making sure I wouldn't hang out with my friend and stuff like that. Eventually he found out I was still hanging out with my friend Connor. He called my landline and yelled at Connor over the phone. And then my grandma took the phone and like screamed back at Russ, like defending Connor. And that's when it was like completely over. Like I didn't have anything to do with Russ or Carol after that.
What was Carol doing during all of this? Like,
I don't know. Like Russ kind of just took over, like, and was just like really controlling. And when like that, when I said that accusation, like I guess Carol like felt, from what Russ was saying, Carol felt hurt by it. And like that night, like when he was driving me back, he was saying, "Oh, Carol is like really hurt by that. Like you shouldn't be saying that type of stuff."
Who emotionally manipulating you into
Yeah.
like, oh, that really hurt Carol that your friend jokes around saying that I'm a pedo.
Yeah.
Brenden, do you want to ask that? Was that in chat?
oh no, I was just bringing that to y'all's attention. I thought that was interesting, but you know, he did that with he used to talk for Holly all the time too, right? So it's surprising to hear. It's surprising to hear that he did it even back then. And what really struck me is the taking a shower before the bed thing, right?
That's
because I have my own story about showering in his house.
I have my own story about showering in his house.
Exactly.
And I know of at least another person who has a story about showering in his house.
Yeah, and it's
so all right. I mean, Brenden, do we talk about it so that Brenden isn't the only one? Like we'll all be vulnerable here.
And I am so sorry, Brenden. By the way, I'm so sorry. Like I am glad. I'm just sorry. Like no kid should have to go back and like remember that like you lost a friend and that they then got stalked by a grown adult who I'm
I
sorry.
actually still have that friend to this day. Like, we
Good.
still hang out. Yeah, I wasn't gonna toss away that friendship for like
Yeah.
Russ and his controlling behavior.
There's so many red flags. Like
Mhm.
So many.
it's unbelievable.
So
Yeah.
after the whole buried alive
Oh wait,
incident,
I have one additional thing.
Yeah.
There was a time where like, cuz I went to a barbecue restaurant one time, and I was raised by my grandparents, and they were like getting up there in age. They're like in their 70s and stuff, and they said that if like they ever died, they would like adopt me. Like, they like made a point about that.
That's a nice thing to tell a kid.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, it's
hey,
grooming.
if
It's
your
grooming.
grandparents ever die,
it's grooming.
we'll adopt you.
What, Cameron?
He wanted Nana to give up custody. I distinctly remember.
Oh, my brother
Mm.
said he distinctly remembers he wanted my grandma to give up custody.
He was like pretty insistent.
And he was like pretty insistent on that.
Is that, can you ask your brother, is that what he meant when he said we should ask what the crazy thing is that he told your grandma?
Say that again. Reframe
Is that your brother had put in chat, you should ask what the crazy thing is that he told our grandma.
Oh, yeah. That's what he was referring to.
Yeah. That's, holy cow. Yeah, sorry everybody, trigger warning.
Yeah, that's grooming to the fullest,
Mhm.
100%. So for my shower incident, it was after I got buried alive. I covered in mud, had to shower off. He said you can use my shower, gave me a towel, told me where the bathroom was, and mind you, I'm just down to my boxers at this point. Something just wasn't sitting right. That I was in this house, the door was shut, but something didn't feel right. I was like, I'm not getting out of my boxers. And as I was in the shower, I noticed how the window was, like the curtain didn't go all the way, but also the window curtain didn't go all the way. So there was a purposeful gap on the side. I'm not talking height-wise, but on the side of the window where you could see in. And all of a sudden I saw the dome light of his truck go on, and he was just sitting in his truck with a perfect view into the bathroom. It's creepy. I didn't know if it was an accident. I was already going through a lot of shit at the time. It was something that I wasn't going to deal with. Just hurried up, rinsed off. I was still in my boxers, jumped out. Yeah. Fast forward to, we're in the middle of filming. I think we were in the middle of filming Monster Inside. Me and Brandon are just talking about, awkward moments that have happened with us. We're comparing stories. This is the first time me and Brandon have actually had a conversation. And Brandon hits me with a very similar story. Are you going to tell it, or am I just...
No, I mean, I'll tell it.
Are you going to tell it?
Well, I didn't know if you were going to go into it or not, but no, like I dismissed it for the longest time, right? Like I just immediately just kind of like Kris. I think he dismissed it for a while, just thinking there's no way it's really anything. But it wasn't until I was comparing that story with Kris, I was like, maybe there's something there. And then when you brought this up, I was like, wow, maybe, it keeps going back to it. But whenever I was on my second show and we were getting ready to leave, and he, I wanted to take a shower, I personally want to take a shower because I have to be clean. So I went to go take a shower. And what was funny is Kris talks about that window and there being some sort of cover on there. There was no cover on there, but there was also nobody sitting out that I could see in easy view. So I wasn't that concerned, but I know that I closed the door to the bathroom. When I got out, that door was wide open. And again, I didn't think it, I dismissed it in my head, but my buddy looks, he's I think he's like 4 months older than I am, but he looks like he's 12, right? And he swears that he thinks somebody was watching him because the exact same thing happened. He went to go take a shower, and when he came out, the door was wide open. You know, me personally, I was on the porch getting ready, packing up all my stuff, getting ready for us to go in the rental truck. But, and again, we both kind of talked about it, and we both dismissed it as, well, it's a shitty trailer. It's a crappy door. Maybe it just kind of came open. But, you know, I have a, you know, there seems too many instances with bathrooms and showers.
I won't out the person, but one female has told me a story.
Yeah.
When people wonder why, I'm very pissed off right now. That's the only thing I'm feeling right now is just complete rage. And when people wonder why, oh, you're still talking about him, you're still giving him attention, and, you know, make him irrelevant. He hasn't done tours now for a few months. Leave the guy alone. This is why right here. Because the mass, sadly, and this is probably definitely different since the Hulu documentaries come out, and since some bigger YouTubers have really done a good job exposing the true stories behind who Russ is. But sadly, all of these years, people like Brenden, people like Kris and Brenden, and of course, all the victims in between, have to sit there and hear YouTubers or news anchors or all these other different sources out there talk about the scariest haunt in the whole world. So cool, so dangerous. And Russ just living off this legend that he has said it many times. He loves that. He's this urban legend for being like so creative and so scary. And guys, hopefully, and this is best case scenario, a passive pedo. Okay? Allegedly. He has abused countless women as well, emotionally and physically, by forcing them to go through various things, and has emotionally messed up so many people. So we're just gonna like not talk about it and let people just continue on believing the legend of who Russ McKamey is and glorify him.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
I was so happy when that doc came out because it was like finally like the first like big like exposing that like happened, and it had such a wide audience because it wasn't it like top rankings on.
It was number one on Hulu for I believe it was like 14 days.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a long time to be number one on Hulu.
Yeah, it did amazing. You know, and I feel I love the doc. I everything about it I 100% support. I think they did an amazing job. I feel that just grazes the surface of how deep this stuff goes. You know, we learned a lot of stuff, I think, tonight in this interview that a lot of people didn't know. And, you know, Brenden, thank you so much for coming up here and sharing your stories with us. Definitely.
So much.
You're
your
welcome.
audio's like something's happening with your audio.
Yeah,
Chris.
it's getting like
he sounds like
muffled.
he's talking to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, now you're better.
I'm better now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it was a loose wire.
And are you in the group, Brenden? You're in the group, right?
I'm one. I have like a group expert tag.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah. Because I feel like I'm just now getting to know you, and obviously would love to. You're a huge asset to the early years, to the knowledge that you have and the inside information. But I think you're also one of a few select group of people that are the early victims.
Yeah, it definitely was
Yeah.
like, I think it like I didn't get like the brunt of what I've seen from like other victims. Like it definitely wasn't as bad as like what other victims experienced.
I think that
Well,
it's not for anyone to say, well, I wasn't victimized as bad as this person just because you were
Yeah,
beat up. You were 10. You were 10.
true.
yeah, how do you remember all this from 10 years old? I don't remember anything from when I was 10.
Me and my brother have like a crazy amount of hyper awareness, and I think it was like from how we were raised.
Well, and that's
So
a pretty
yeah,
big
Yeah,
thing
that
to
was a big
remember.
experience. I think it'd be
That's a good
hard to
point.
forget.
That's a
yeah,
very good point.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Ben talks about on camera Russ, off camera Russ. If you watch the Hulu doc, I talk about that there's 3 Russes. You know, there's you got the persona, like the Russ everybody loves, the charismatic guy,
Charming,
charming.
funny, yeah.
Then you got the scary Russ that we see on camera running the haunt, filming the people. And then there's the one, yeah, using the creepy Batman voice. And then there is one other Russ that we're now starting to pull that curtain away and see, and that's the real Russ. That's the monster. You know,
That
yeah.
stalks children.
stalks
The
children. Yeah.
the other two are just like masks he puts on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, can I ask a follow up question about these sleepovers?
Sure, it was only one though.
I was gonna
Okay,
say
that
make
was my
sure
question.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it was only one it was only one for you, or as far as you know, like were there other kids that maybe had them?
As far as I know,
But-
I think I was the only one.
Okay.
But
Interesting.
that like
And then you said the
really-
P word at the sleepover, and that didn't
yeah, and
go
then
over too well.
right?
Yeah, and they probably didn't happen after that, thank God.
Yeah.
Seriously, you probably saved a
I
lot
think-
of awkward moments for other kids, you know?
True.
So, I just feel like if we go into testimonials now, it's going to change the tone.
Yeah, no, I agree. Because I wanted to talk about the difference between 2010 testimonials
and I
versus
think it
2011,
just-
but not, yeah.
I think
Maybe.
we'll start it on the next episode.
Okay.
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 So with that, next week, I'm unsure of my schedule. We're going to do another one next week. I just don't know the day that we're going to do it.
What? Really?
Yeah. With work, I just don't know if I can do it
Oh.
on that day. So we are going to
Alright.
do another one. I mean, we're going to do many more, but one a week,
Yeah.
I promise. Not sure of the exact day or time of that, but as soon as we get that locked in, we will be there. And then thank you, Brenden, for joining us.
So much.
Brenden will be hopefully back with us on the next
Oh,
one.
that Brandon? Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. And then
I'm just kidding.
and then Brendan.
And then
Brenden,
Brandon.
thank you so much for coming up and being vulnerable and telling us these stories. I'm sorry you had to go through that yourself. It seems like you're in a good place though.
Yeah.
So that's what's important now. It was amazing to get your insight and answer a lot of questions for us. You know, you're always welcome back up. If you ever see something you want to talk about, we'd love to have you back.
Absolutely. And
to
thanks to your brother and
Yeah.
your neighborhood friends that came into the chat too. That was awesome.
Yeah, maybe we could do like a panel with them on it too, if they're down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Definitely
We're
do
gonna
that
have
sometime.
more people up for sure.
And to all the support in chat, love seeing all the interactivity, love seeing the questions. Hopefully we got everybody's questions. I think we did a good job at that. If you haven't already, show us some support. Give a thumbs up on this video, subscribe, share out this video. Help us spread this word, right? This stuff is free. We're not putting it behind a paywall or anything. So share out these videos. because the more information we get out there to people, the more people are aware of Russ. Let's take down that legend, right? Russ wants to be known for being the haunt guy.
Mhm.
Let's change that. Let's let people know what Russ really is. And guess what? That haunt legend is going to be an afterthought. Way later on, people ain't even going to pay attention to that. So, thank you all so much for joining us tonight, and we will see you all again soon.